I want to create a song that articulates the sentiment one may experience when they allow the gravity of life and work and their relationships to collapse inward. I thought, what better analog than a supernova? You know, a giant star, once it's spent all of its fuel, no longer has enough energy to withstand its own gravity so that it collapses inward on itself in a supernova. Then to take it a step further, I feel like kind of referring to that in plurality, so not just a supernova, but supernovae. So I want to create a song, and I'm going to title it Novae. I'm feeling for this album I want to be a bit more aggressive and modern sounding with my guitars. So I'm kind of thinking that maybe something in the realm of like Tesseract with those really sparkly, clean, sort of ambient, ethereal, clean tones, coupled with some overdriven, low tuning and very saturated tones. So between now and the end of the week, I'm going to take you all along with me to sort of showcase my method and how I go about writing a song, producing it, and then ultimately releasing it. And I'm hoping that along the way you learn a little bit more about me, and hopefully at the end of this thing I've got a decent song to share with you. Looking forward to it. It's gonna be a great week. So I think I'll head on home and show you Hyperspace Studio and some of the gear that I plan to use for this project, and the process that I'll implement to write this song and produce it. And hopefully it turns into a nice little video. But here we go. Novae, day one. I've already been experimenting with some sparkly clean tones, kind of being inspired by that Tesseract sort of crisp and ethereal type of clean tone. And I'm going to use that as the foundation for the track and just sort of build around that. I'll be using this Fender Telecaster with the two Seymour Duncan humbucker pickups for the rhythm in this track. Signal flow is pretty straightforward. Go right into a tuner, of course, to the Digitech drop, and I'll be playing with it down 5 semitones. Really go for that genty sort of low tone, right into the Charlie Stringer Snarling Dog Addicted to Wah Wino Plus wah pedal, straight imported from 1990 something. I've had this thing forever. A little bit of overdrive here to really kind of add a bit of clarity to the tone, with that Digitech drop being as low as it is at 5 semitones down. It really helps to kind of add a bit more treble in the overdrive and just a skosh of gain to kind of make it a bit more responsive in the chugging arena. And then the output is just a hair below noon there. So it's not adding any volume. In fact, it's taking it back just a skosh. And then straight into the Moore GE200, where I'll be still kind of working on the tone, the signature combination here of amp and cabinet. So I'll have that done sooner than later. The bass is through the same channel. It just diverges at the output of the processor, where it'll go into this preamp here, this DI box. It's a Chinese import, sort of a clone of the simplifier. And for the price, this thing was $100. My goodness, it really helps you take control of that bass tone, and then just a little bit of compression for that bass. But that's it. So guitar straight through, out of the processor into the interface. I'm using an old school PreSonus FP10 Firewire. Luckily the computer I use still had a Firewire driver on it from in the early 2000s, because it is no longer supported by PreSonus. A lot of vintage equipment being used on this one. But again, bass tone comes straight on through. When I'm running the bass, there'll be no additional processing until I get to this, and it'll come into the compressor and then into the DI and then right into that interface there. So very nominal processing on the bass, but you'd be surprised, this drop 5 semitones down on a 4-string bass, it's pretty aggressive. Oddly enough, I use Propellerhead Reason 11 as my digital audio workstation. Not exactly designed for the type of music I make. It's really more for hip-hop, electronica, sort of that more processed, less acoustic sort of genres, but I have always used it since like 2005, and I've had multiple versions of it, and I seem to really gravitate towards it, even in it not supporting VST3s. So I really was hoping to be able to use some of these ML Audio Lab plugins for this track, but unfortunately Reason does not allow VST3s, and ML Sound Labs only uses VST3. There's some workarounds for it that'll allow you to host these VST3s in Reason, and I've tried, and I'll just be honest, I'm not smart enough. I cannot get that to work, so decided instead again to go back to that Moore GE200. This is the same all-in-one unit that I used on Surface and my 2020 EP, and it's definitely not bad. For the price these Moore GE200s run, they do a very good job of amp and cab simulation. The effects are okay, but I don't use it for any effects aside from maybe a little bit of compression. That's it. Again, Propellerhead Reason has quite a few built-in effects, and it does allow for VSTs. So it's everything I need in the way of effects, and I'm just very familiar with each of them. I'm really a huge fan of the delay effects. Some of the other more studio-centric rack components, like the M-Class Maximizer, even though that's a cardinal sin for most live musicians, I really like the way that helps bring drums to the forefront, and I use this program 100% for all of the drums in all of my songs. So between the Dr. Octo Rex loop player and Kong drum designer, just being triggered with either one of these types of pads or the pads on my controller, that seems to really suit the purpose for what I do. So these are the things I'll be using to put Novae together, and I hope it starts to come together. See you tomorrow.